All right, everyone, we got this fender. They were gonna put new ones on. Tons of Bondo. It's been wrecked, but I want to push this fender out and I want to use the same fender because it fit good. So that, this one wasn't too bad. Kind of dented right here, nothing major. So this fender we are also doing deleted body moldings. He doesn't want the lights for some reason. He's getting rid of everything except he still wants a marker lamp front and rear. But otherwise, these are actually not bad other than that spot and the few spots on there. So we're gonna grill brick everything. We've already started, and then see how you can see the low spots with the grill brick like instantly. So once we hit it with the grill brick, you just grind those spots out, tap them out if they need it, and then mud it. All right, so we got the metal work done here on that one. I showed you where there's some low spots you can see with the grill brick. This was pretty beat up. Well, not pretty beat up, but this was high. This is low. And with some heat and a waffle hammer, you can make those nice and flat again if you take your time. And so that was bowed out big time. But now it should be barely skim coat, and that's it. Over on this guy, someone got a little bit crazy with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start pounding it out from the backside, and we'll get the metal. There's probably actually more Bondo on there than needs to be, so we'll get the metal pounded out, cleaned up, and skim coated. And I bet there's way more Bondo in there than needs to be. Now, it may be hard to see on here or an optical illusion, but this area, see, I pounded it out a hair there where that weld, but this area, it's flat. There's no damage there. Never was damage. You flip it over and they literally have that much Bondo in there. So yeah, I think someone just went ballistic with it. Didn't take much to pound that, and that's really not that bad. So we'll grind the Bondo out and see. That shouldn't be too horrible at all. All right, so I figured it out. If you look, see how that starts getting higher? The fatter it gets up here from flat. So do you remember how that door was super pregnant? What they did is that they started this to come up to match the door. So literally none of that up here need to have Bondo. They just, you can see that. See where it gets fat? See where they start floating it out right here? They just start coming up to match into the door. So we'll grind it all out, and it actually shouldn't be that bad. Okay, obviously that is pretty beat up. But see that? They did the metal work, and that's what these holes are. They're filled up holes from pulling on it. Sorry there. But, I mean, no reason for that much Bondo. That is not bad at all. So yeah, they basically didn't do the metal work on the door. I mean, I pounded this out, you know, right here from the backside. I hit, but it came out really quick, and so that's why I was wondering why there was so much Bondo. But the doors, on the other hand, this door, I mean, I had to heat shrink this entire door. It was that bad, and pound on it. But Yep, they just made it to float in here. And that's funny that they go through that much work instead of just doing the metal skim coat and be done. I don't get it. Okay, so I went ahead and hit all the spots that are low. There may be a few small ones here, but I want to go ahead and get Bondo on all this. All the blue's coming off. You can see where the grill brick right there. So the Bondo will go over this a little, but when I start blocking everything out, I'll make sure that there's no blue anywhere. You scuff this up and you put the Bondo on so it doesn't flake, but we'll be blocking the crap out of this. All the blue will be gone. I just want to get all that stuff going. All right, guys, so I'm going to show you something kind of cool, especially you old school guys. You guys know what these are? So this is obviously a file. You get your metalwork looking all good, and I don't use these, but they're in a toolbox. But you get your metal pounded, and then you can sit there and shave it lightly to make it nice and flat. Let me see this. Smooth it out a little. And then this, they call it cheese grater. I don't know if there's a real name for it. This one's got a hole there. But what you do is, now this is too wet, but like these areas, when it's, you can't do it too hard, but you go over it flat one way, and it looks like shredded cheese comes out of it. So kind of some cool tools. And it would work really good on here. You just whoosh, 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 and smooths it right out while the Bondo's still kind of soft. You don't want it too tacky, obviously, but anyway, some old school tools. Okay, this is gonna be kind of hard one hand, but I'll show you real quick. See how it, oh, too much. That's probably that hole. Anyway, see how it grades it? Oops. That's what they call the cheese grater, and I just kind of ruined that. No big deal. Okay, so you can see how, these spots were welded and they were a little lower, and I used the grill brick, and it had the blue marks in between there. Well, like I said, when I hit it, no blue will be under there. It knocked everything flat. You can see a low spot here, just little stuff, and that's why I like using this. If you look at that contour, and you don't have to push too hard, but you just go with it. It takes paint off easy. It shows you your low spots. You grind them real quick. You can use a block and do this. Some people like to get stuff sandblasted. Chemical strippers, which, no, don't do that. It's a nightmare. Sandblasting can work. People don't do it right. I just like doing this. It knocks it down fast. I think each door was like 15 minutes with the grill brick, and it's pretty well stripped. So we'll hit these areas. I wanted Bondo on here first because that was the deeper spot, and then I'll skim coat anything. And it actually looks pretty good. I may not skim coat it. I may just go ahead and leave this. I know here needs a little, but that I may actually leave. This I'll put some stuff on, but we'll prime it and block it with the 80 grit and see how it looks. Okay, so we actually have a few high spots here that need to be knocked down. You can see them. Because this is curved, but it's pretty flat. So this should come flat all the way. So what we do is they have different dollies. You can go to Harbor Freight and buy a hammer and dolly kit, and it'll last you a long time. I've had these a couple of years. They're nice, they're not fiberglass. They have different dollies, but what you do is you put this, I'm gonna use the kind of rounded side because the fender's rounded a little, underneath there, and then with your other hand, you just tap it. Some have a pick tool, so you can use a pick tool if needed. And then just tap them down. It's pretty simple. And then you'll scuff the low spots, skim coat it again, and you should be good to go. All right, so all that up there is actually really good. So I'm just gonna skim coat. It's a little low here. I'm gonna go over this, and hopefully the 2 coats is good. I'll finish getting the blue off, and this one will actually be ready to prime. Super easy. That will be next, and I'm assuming probably gonna be close to the same thing. All right, so we got 40 grit, long block, and long passes coming from both directions. Knocks it down quick. I was not gonna put one skim, but might as well real fast. And then I put the guide coat on here. We'll go over that and get those finished up. Get these things probably primed tomorrow. The block and 40 grit, made quick work out of that. You can see where we burned through a little, but that panel's pretty straight. We'll prime it, 80 grit, prime it 120, prime it, probably paint. It should be golden. I don't think I'll have to put any dolphin glaze on any of this part. All right, so before I guide coat it, I want to show you if you can see. Can you see all the 40 grit? Yep, there it is. Don't worry about that stuff. That's why I always like to just 40 grit, rough it in, and then hit it with 80. Because you're going to be blocking and priming a few times. So basically what you're doing after this prime, block with 80, and then wherever the low spots are, and it smooths things out. And then what happens is you fix the spots and you prime again. So those things won't, don't get too critical on the first one, because there is big scratches, but they'll go away in the next prime. All right, so again, blocked all that with 80. This up on the top part. This I did with a smaller block and the grill brick. I had some high spots, so we tapped those down. This actually looks really good. There's a low spot there, all dolphin glaze. Low spot here, all dolphin glaze, and just kind of where I tapped. Otherwise, that looked pretty good. So that's why I like the 40 grit, 80 grit, fix, prime, 120. Blah, 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 blah. Over and over and over. Door's ready to go. We'll get the other fender blocked. The Volkswagen parts are ready to paint. Anyway, so we'll mix up some dolphin glaze. That's what I use. And we'll get that spread on.